Hey there, welcome to another episode of the DIY Marketing School podcast. My name is Melanie Diane Howell, and I'm your host and your marketing coach. Today, we're going to talk about 5 ways that are going to enhance your online networking. Let's go. All right, I am so excited about today's episode because it's just gonna be fun, like all about networking, getting yourself out there. And here's what I mean by, networking online, right? I mean, we can obviously network in a lot of places, but when you are doing business online, trying to grow an audience online, you're putting yourself out there, then there is a virtual way to do this. Even with conferences not happening in person, even if they were happening in person, these strategies that I'm going to talk about today are still applicable and you should still be focusing on them. So regardless of when you're listening to this episode and what's going on in the world and all those things, these strategies apply regardless of whether we can be in person or whether we can't. And so the whole reason why I want you to be focused on networking online, and there's a couple definitions to this, right? So obviously you want to be growing an audience. That's absolutely networking online. You want to be trying to find new people to come into your world. And so there's some networking things that you can be doing to bring an audience to you. But the other thing I want to focus on is the value of networking for collaborations, for peers, partnerships, just people like referring you who can help you. I'm in the process right now of working with a company who's looking for potential speakers who can speak on their virtual stage. And I'm sitting here like looking at my little like virtual Rolodex. I put air quotes up, but you can't see that. But, I'm looking at my little virtual Rolodex and I'm like, here are all these people that I actually can reach out to. And it really got me thinking, and I started thinking about it. Like, there are some pretty influential people in my circle that I know, some of which I can just send a text message to. Others I can actually send a DM to, and they will actually read it and respond, right? And so, it's just kind of one of those things. And I was thinking to myself, how did I get to know these people? How did I get to a place where I had all these people I'm able to reach out to? And a lot of it is because of just showing up and being a person and being vibrant and having communications and interactions and building those relationships. The thing that's crazy is so many of these people that I'm able to reach out to, I have never met in person. Think about that for a second. I've never met them in person. And some of them I actually consider good friends, like close friends, business peers, like someone I could call and have a super big challenging issue and they would drop everything to help me. So there's a lot of value in building your professional network. And it's not just about your audience and people that you're looking for potential clients. We're looking for potential friends, potential partners, people that you can, lean on, rely on, or one day reach out to and maybe help them, right? Because there's an opportunity that you know of that isn't a good fit for you that might be a good fit for them. And so there's a lot of value here. So kind of wanted to just set the stage a little bit about it. And, I'm going to give you 5 strategies or 5 things at least to think about or to go change or to really focus on that is going to help you optimize this networking effort, right? And here's the thing I want to say. Networking is not something you say, okay, in the 4th quarter, I'm going to focus on networking. You should always be networking. And so I want you to think about some of these strategies they are not like, blitzes or, efforts, like, timelined efforts. These are just things that are going to support the things you should already be doing in your business that goes along with all of the networking that's happening. Okay, so let's dive in. Are you ready? Let's do this. All right, the first thing I want to talk about is optimizing your profiles. And so, your social media profiles. Now, this is something I've talked about on the podcast before. I am very passionate about this. I got to say, it kind of drives me bonkers when I see somebody and they're showing up in the comments, or I'm like, oh, cool, who is this person? And I click on their profile and I cannot figure out anything about them. Nothing. I can't tell what they do. I can't tell, like if they own a business. I cannot tell anything. I also can't, really do my research. And when I say research, it's essentially what you do too. When we see people, we want to do a little poking around. We want to stalk them a little bit, right? We want to get a little bit of a taste, a feel for their, who they are, their personality, whatnot, right? And so here's what happens. I see this all the time where these profiles, it's like a dead end. And so I essentially typically will just walk away. The same thing happens when I get like a friend request from somebody, or somebody sends me a DM and it's somebody I don't know. I like to go kind of try to see who they are. And if I can't figure out who this person is, I'm just probably not really going to be overly responsive. It's a busy world, and that optimization of the profile is important. And so here, let me talk about give you a few things here that you need to focus on when it comes to your profiles. Now, every social media platform is different in how you can optimize, but Facebook is definitely, I think, one of the most biggest areas where people are doing this virtual networking, right? We are in Facebook groups, we're, commenting on things, we're watching live videos, we're commenting, we're all over the place, right? So you have Facebook, you also have LinkedIn, which is equally as important to optimize your profile there. And then, things like Twitter, Instagram, even YouTube, you don't have quite as much there as far as to optimize, but you still have some of these things. So be thinking about that a little bit. You need to be thinking about all of these profiles. Wherever you are truly showing up online the most, you need to 100% focus and make sure that those profiles are optimized. So let's talk about a few things about what that means. Number one, most important thing ever. And again, if you've been listening to this podcast, or you have been following me or on any of my live shows ever, you know what I'm going to say. Your profile picture. Your profile picture needs to be of you. I want to see you. I want to see your face, and I want to look into your eyes. So I have an entire episode dedicated to profile pictures. That's how passionate I am about it. It's actually an oldie but a goodie, episode 16. I will link to it in the show notes, but definitely check that out. I give you 11 tips for better profile pictures. But number one, it needs to be of you, not of your pets, not of your product, not of your husband, not of your children. It needs to be of you. Now, I'm really passionate about it. Everybody feels differently about this, but at a minimum, you need to be in this profile picture, and I need to very quickly identify who you are. So again, if it's a big family photo or if it's a big group photo, I'm like, which one is she, right? So I highly recommend that this is a headshot of some sort. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. When I say headshot, I mean not like a full body shot of you really far away. I want to see you and look into your eyes. Okay, so that's really, really important. The other thing is think about your cover photo. So a lot of these social media platforms do give you an opportunity to have a cover photo. This is maybe a more appropriate place for you to showcase your kids, showcase your products, whatever it might be, a nice, beautiful sunset photo. But if you're in business, you might consider using your profile photo or your cover photo to showcase something you're promoting at the time, or a little bit more about what you do in your business. So use this as like a little bit of a billboard if you'd like. Now, this is different for personal profiles versus a business profile. A business profile, you 100% should be using that space as a billboard for your business. If you're on your personal profile, you can totally use this. This is a more appropriate place, in my opinion, for you to have those photos of your family or the other stuff, right? So, okay. The other thing is your description. So each platform has a space for you to have some sort of like about or description or something, a title, whatever it might be. Don't leave this blank. Also, if you are in business and you want to be driving traffic to a website or to your business profile, utilize this as a way to do that. But make it very quick, very clear. What is it you do? Who do you help? How do you do it? Right? Make it really, really, really clear. I see a lot of, personal profiles that, again, if you're utilizing these social platforms and you want to be growing your business, this is an opportunity. It's not required. A lot of people use this space to talk about really just very personal stuff, right? But consider using it to be a little bit more strategic about describing what you do in your business, because it is one of the first things people see, and not everybody's going to go start clicking around to look at the actual spaces or fields where Facebook, for example, does give you an opportunity to say like, hey, what do you do? So think about your description and your headlines and how you can optimize those. So the next thing is content. I want to make sure that you have content, but also that content is viewable. So, obviously you need to be, wherever you're, again, wanting to be showing up here, make sure you are creating content, because if somebody lands on your profile, they're going to go look at your most recent stuff. They're going to look at a few of your latest posts, whatever. And if there's not really anything there, it's going to look like you're not really active or in business. So make sure you're creating content. But let's talk about your personal profile again. I know that a lot of times, again, same thing happens. Somebody comes to me, I can't see who they are because it's the profile picture is not of them. And I'm like, okay, let me see if I can figure this out. And then I start clicking on, I try to look at some photos or some posts, and there's nothing there. This is likely because they have their Facebook profile super locked down from a privacy standpoint. This is 100% up to you. And that's a boundary you've got to decide on. But I want you to remember that when you have all that stuff totally set to private, you're not letting anyone from the outside get a view of you. And so if you're going to be sending DMs, or you're going to be, networking or doing these other things, you need to be thinking about that. So the path that somebody takes is, if they see you comment or they learn about you, they're going to start clicking to get ultimately to a place where they can learn more about you. And a lot of times that's going to be on that personal profile, because that's how we're interacting online. So you don't have to have everything public, but consider, okay, what maybe are some posts I could create that, are okay for me to open up to a public view. So kind of be thinking about that. A lot of people don't really they don't really realize that when they're setting everything so private, you're blocking that process that people go through, which is essentially to check you out before they decide that they want to interact with you. And so consider that as well. So I wanted to kind of point that out. Now, another thing that I want to make sure that you're doing is if you have a business page, a business profile, a Facebook page or whatnot, make sure that it's easy for us to know, hey, that she has a business page, that's where I should follow her. So make sure there's a clear link to those profiles. Facebook makes this super easy. You can just, when you go into your workplaces, make sure that your current workplace is whatever it is you do at, boom, your business profile, and link it. So make sure that it's easy for people to get ultimately to those business areas. So that's another thing too. So optimize your profile picture, cover photo, description. Make sure you have some content, make sure it's not all locked down in private mode, and then make sure there's a clear link to your business page. Okay, so that's optimizing your profile. All right, next up, live video. I love live video. I love live video. That's what I talk about all the time. But here's the deal. Here's what live video does. Live video creates two-way communication. It's going to speed up the relationship building process, and it is going to speed up your networking process because of the same thing. But what it does too is, this is the fringe benefit of when you create live videos. Now, and I've got plenty of podcast episodes about live video. You can definitely make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, or you're in my Facebook group, DIY Marketing with Melanie. I'll link to those in the show notes, of course. But I go live every week. I use live video regularly in my business, and I 100% chalk this up to my current growth right now. And it's because I've been showing up live regularly. And what's happening by doing that, I've been getting requests to show up in other people's live videos or in other people's podcasts. And so the reason for this is because here I am, they see me, they can get a taste of my personality because it's truly me on video and I'm live. They can understand what I do. They also can see, okay, I think her personality is a good fit for my content. Or, oh, I love the way her set looks. I think my audience would really enjoy that. And so you're giving people, you're literally showing yourself on a stage, and you are giving them a sample of what it would be like for you to be in their content. And the reason why this is important is because this is the piece of networking. Ultimately, you should be focused on being a guest in people's content, whether it be their podcast episode, whether it be being a guest blogger, in their content, or being a guest in a live interview or a live show, or a video collaboration. These are the ways that you will speed up your growth from an audience standpoint, because when you're on their content, you're going to be exposed to their audience, right? And so that is going to be great. The other thing that's going to happen is when you're a guest in other people's content, you're more likely to get somebody to say yes when you request that they come in your content. And again, when somebody's a guest in your content, it is going to spread out your reach because they're going to share your content because they're in it. And so you're going to be exposed to their audience that way. And so live video is one of those ways where you can get these opportunities and do this networking, but also being guests in people's shows. And so I want you to be, if you're not already doing live video, let's make that part of your goal. Let's make that part of your strategy. Let's make that happen, because this is going to be key. This is going to be, again, one of the fastest ways for you to spread your reach and to actually get more opportunities in these networking things. The other thing that happens here is that there's a lot of virtual events going on right now. And when you show up on live video, these virtual event coordinators are these people who someone might say, hey, so-and-so would be a great person for your event. Well, they're going to do exactly what I just said. They're going to go check you out. They're going to do a sampling. And if they see your live videos, one, they're going to be like, sweet, this person's great at content. They can show up. They have good camera presence. They would be a good fit for our audience. But the biggest thing is they're going to say they know how to deliver live content. And these virtual events it's live content, whether it be on a stage or a virtual event. So live video is going to show people that you can deliver content live, right? So that's key. Okay. The next thing I wanted to say, and this is kind of like something that I think that can be overdone, but it can also be, I think people totally underutilize this strategy. Give shout outs. So I know that there are these big deal people and there's big names and, they have these great podcasts and they help us. And we have all these ways where we just are like, oh my God, I love this episode, or I love this book. Those are a big name person may or may not respond to you, right? But definitely be giving shout outs, especially giving shout outs to people in your kind of world that are around in your same kind of realm as far as like fellowship and everything else. You would be surprised how this can affect things. Now, let's say you give a shout out and you don't have an optimized profile, you don't have any content for them to go check you out. It's the same thing as if you sent them just a random DM, right? Again, make sure everything's optimized, be doing things, but this is a way you can be showing up. I will tell you a really quick story where I gave a shout out to a business. I received a gift of a subscription box, but you can buy like just one off. You can send them as gifts. It's called Sparkle, Hustle, Grow. Julie Ball is the owner of this, the founder. And it was this really cool, and it's built for business females, and it had all these like neat little things. And it had a book in it. It had a pamphlet that linked to their guest, showcase who did a guest course or like a mini course, and then some podcast episodes. It had a checklist. It had some things for me to take action on. It was super, super cool. It just had this little thing where I can wrap my headphones around it, like these little kind of just tools for business women, right? And I loved it. I loved the whole experience of it. I loved the way they packaged it. I loved everything about it. And I checked the business out and I was like, this is so cool. What a great idea. So I actually did a live video and I was like, look at this thing I received. This is awesome. I want to talk about it. And I kind of explained how I felt it was such a great customer experience receiving this box, but also the way that they have thoughtfully created this little pamphlet that went with it. So it's not just a box of useless stuff you're going to throw away. It was actually every single thing. I was like, I will absolutely use every single one of these things in this box. And I loved the pamphlet that kind of guided me through it all. And I basically did this live video to kind of help my audience see, hey, this is how you create a customer experience. But then I also did a shout out essentially. And next thing you know, I get a DM from Julie Ball, the founder of Sparkle, Hustle, Grow. And she was like, oh my God, I just saw your live video. We loved it. It was so cool. I see that you help people with live video. That's amazing. I want to do more live video, and then we started just chatting, kind of talking. We realized we had some similar connections because you can see those things when you're networking online. And next thing you know, she's like, would you be interested in being our feature for our July subscription box? I was like, heck yes. So here I am. I did a shout out. My stuff is optimized. She was able to see that I'm legit. And just after some simple communication, we kind of became fast friends. And now I'm a feature in her subscription box for July, which is going on right now. So at the time you're listening to this episode, that has gone out. I am serving her people. I created a little mini course for her program, and I'm in that subscription box. I am in that pamphlet, right? In fact, some of you listening right now might be new followers of this podcast because of Sparkle, Hustle, Grow, right? That all happened because I did a shout out, but it also happened because I was optimized, right? So I wanted to kind of share that little example for you. You never know who's actually going to be listening and responding to you, and you never know what opportunities are going to come down the road because of it. Okay, let's keep going. I've got a couple more here. All right, so here's another thing I wanted to say. You got to be social. And I have an episode way early on in the podcast about social media is meant to be social. But what I really mean by this is I want you to be authentically engaged, authentically engaging in Facebook groups, for example, in comments of other posts. Be engaged, be authentically engaged. Don't just say, okay, for 30 minutes a day, I'm going to go to these 3 groups. I'm going to search this topic and I'm going to make sure I respond and kind of comment on it so that they know I'm an authority in this area. we see people do this, and 90% of us can see what they're doing. And that's not authentic, right? You're doing that, you're strategic. I mean, it works, I guess, but what I'm talking about is truly being authentic, build relationships. So you may not be able to do this in every single group that you're in, but I want you to be making sure that you are part of groups that include a network of people that you want to be working with, right? Not just customers, but people you want to actually learn from, maybe collaborate with, like I just described, and be authentically engaged, show up, support people, be a cheerleader, answer the questions that you are, able to answer. Don't self-promote, just be a human being and the rest will follow as long as you are optimized, right? Because again, you're going to be helpful. You're going to be showing up. They're going to be like, who is this chick? I keep seeing her in here. And then they're going to click on your profile and they're going to go look at everything. And as long as you're optimized and you're showing up and you're creating content, you're doing live videos, all the things, it will work, right? You don't have to constantly be like, as a blah, blah, blah expert for 20 plus years, yada, 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 I'd like to give my input on this. Like it makes me want to gag every time I see that. So you don't have to do that. Just be a human being. But so be authentically engaged in social media, but specifically in Facebook groups, ones that include people that you want to be networking with, right? All right. The last tip I got for you is, okay, this one's kind of weird. What I'm saying is don't be afraid to hit up direct messages, but do it genuinely, because there's a lot of people out there DMing people that are not being genuine. There's a lot of, strategies that are being taught to people that they should just be reaching out to people left and right, sending templated messages, and just trying to kind of like blast everything out. It's like become the new, like, like when we still get it. You get junk mail in your mailbox, like your actual physical mailbox. And you're like, why do I keep getting this letter from this insurance agent? Like I get one a month from the same insurance agent. I don't even open it, right? That's kind of the same. Like I'm good with my insurance. I'm good. It's just junk mail, right? And that's kind of what it feels like in our DMs right now. Sometimes we're getting a lot of junk mail, right? So how can you stand out? So here's the thing. First, you can, if they see your name and you've been showing up in the same space that they have been and you've been engaged authentically, they're going to be like, oh, I know this name. I know this person. And they're going to open it, right? So again, all this stuff goes together. There's not just one strategy that works. You have to utilize all of these strategies to truly, beef up your networking. So there's that. But the other thing I wanted to point out was I love to use audio in my DMs for a couple of reasons. One, because I'm lazy and I hate typing, and I usually have typos because I'm on my cell phone or whatever. But two, they hear my voice. It's custom. They know, okay, this is not just her copying and pasting a bunch of DMs to all these people. It's a one-on-one, a one-off custom message that I recorded for that person individually. Now, sometimes what I might do, because people, I think if you've never DM'd this person before and you just send an audio message to start, sometimes they look at that and they're like, what is this? So you might type a quick note and just say, hey, so-and-so, I wanted to reach out about blah, blah, blah. Or, hey, it's Melanie from the blah, blah, blah group. And I wanted to, send you a quick note of encouragement, or I wanted to ask you a question, or whatever it might be, right? Again, try not to make it come off as like you're pre-spamming them, and then record the audio message and send them the audio message. Now, I have an episode about this where I talked about ways that you need to be showing up. That's episode 43. Again, I will link to that in the show notes, but that is one of the things I talk about. Audio messages. You will blow people's minds. I still can't believe that some people don't get audio messages. Like I'll send somebody an audio message and they're like, oh my God, I've never gotten one of these before. And I'm like, are you serious? Almost every social media platform allows you to use audio in the direct message. I highly recommend you do that. The other thing you might want to consider is creating a video. So you can use Dubb, D-U-B-B. You can use, Buongiorno. Heck, you can use Loom. You can use anything you want. Record a quick little video and it will create a link. You can use that as well. Those go a long way too. So I definitely recommend that, when you're ready to actually take that conversation to the next level, or make the ask of having them, asking them to be a guest on your content, or maybe you want to pitch them something about, or ask them a question, or again, try to make a connection because you have an opportunity that might be a good fit for them and you want to connect them to somebody else, right? Because that's networking as well. Networking is not just about you, it's about helping others as well. So use those DMs. Don't be afraid to do that. Now, when you do that, the thing I'll say is that's a way to kind of reach out, but then also make sure you ask, hey, is this a good place to keep communicating, or is there a better place you rather communicate? And at that point, somebody might say, yeah, I actually rather use Voxer, or well, here's my cell phone. Let's just get on the phone, or just please, yeah, actually, I'd rather you email me, so always ask that as well once you start that conversation, because not everybody wants to be hanging out in their DMs, and not everybody manages their own DMs. A lot of people have teams that help them manage those direct messages. And if they want to take that conversation to a more private one-on-one, then they're going to probably want to get out of the DM in their social media. So think about that too. Okay, there you have it. So yeah, this is about networking, getting yourself out there. And these are tips for better networking so you can get these opportunities for collaborations, partnerships, business collaborations. I mean, so many things, potential customers, but mostly it's about you organically spreading your reach, getting these types of opportunities so that you can get to that point of growth that you want. And it's authentic. That's what I like about all these things. They're authentic ways. So you're going to attract the correct people, right? You're not going to accidentally, fakely, all of a sudden run into a situation where now you have this, this person you're doing collaborations with, and you guys are not a good fit for each other. So we talked about optimizing your profile, making sure that people can see your profile picture. There's a cover photo, the description's there. You have some content that they can look at, and you have a clear link to your business page and your website. We also talked about live video. Live video is a way for people to get an awesome sampling of you, your personality, your content, but it also shows them that you know how to show up, and you're going to get more guest requests because of this, and you're going to get more people saying yes to being a guest on your show because they can see what your content is like. So live video for sure. I talked about giving shout outs as well. So if you have a great experience with a business, or you loved a podcast episode of somebody's, or you learned something from somebody, make sure that you're giving a shout out to that person. You never know, it might turn into an opportunity like it did for me with Julie Ball with Sparkle Hustle Grow. And then be authentically engaged in Facebook groups. Be authentically engaged in all content on social media, but specifically be thinking about the groups that you're in and how you're showing up in those groups, and be active. Be an active, engaged member. Don't just be a lurker. Be engaged, be a part of the conversation. And this will also lead to more relationships, more partnerships, more networking online. And then the last thing I talked about was don't be afraid to hit up direct messages, but do it genuinely. And I highly recommend that you use the audio feature inside of those direct messages. So I want to make sure that you know that might be the first way that you make a deeper connection with somebody one-on-one. And so use those DMs, but do it genuinely, because we're getting a lot of junk mail right now in our DMs on these social media platforms. So there you have it. There you have it. I hope that you found this episode helpful, and I hope that you will let me know if you did. So speaking of shout outs, do me a favor. Give me a shout out somewhere. If you found that this was awesome, take a screenshot of this episode, go to Instagram and tag me in it, use a story, and give me your favorite tip. Put it out there. What was your favorite tip that you learned from this episode? You can find me at Melanie Diane on Instagram. That's DYANN, by the way. So Melanie Diane on Instagram, or come over and send me a DM anywhere else that you're hanging out and let me know what you found that was valuable and helpful from the episode. I do love that feedback from you guys. And if you're not already part of our Facebook group communities, speaking of communities, join us. It's called DIY Marketing with Melanie. You can just go to Facebook and search DIY Marketing with Melanie. It will show up for you. It's an amazing community of amazing people who are doing what you're trying to do. Grow your business. You're doing it yourself. You are in it. You are ready to make it happen, but you are literally DIYing it, and we are supporting each other, cheering each other on. And it's an amazing community that's been growing over the last few years, and we have a lot of fun in there. It's pretty great. So, all right, my friends, that's it for today. I will talk to you soon. Hopefully you thought this was helpful and you're ready to go take some action. I'd love to hear back from you when you do. But in the meantime, go do something amazing and go be awesome.